चल सकता है. So yeah, before I got associated with inertia, uh, I did in some ways imagine myself to be uh, a savvy kind of a investor, uh, in the sense that between the years of 2004 and 2011, I had some good fun investing in the real estate uh, journey, or the, you could call it the environment that was there at that time, especially in a place like Pune, which was beginning to develop. Uh, that that was useful. And as I said, after I took my break based on the comfort of that investments, uh, on the wrong side of 45, I just realized that the the education part of it was missing. I was going completely on my instincts, and to some extent, the real estate journey also had ended. The last, 7 to 10 years have not been really great. So I was at some kinds of a no man's land, right, with practically no informed ability to make a decision. And that is when the association with inertia helped. Previous to inertia, I used to just dabble on shares and mutual funds, pretty much going by some news item in CNBC or Money Control, things like that. But after my association with inertia, I think two, three things. I think one is the discipline of investment, both in terms of the timeliness of, you know, uh, things like the moment you get a salary, uh, before you even think of spending anything else, first earmark the money that you had set out to save, right? So the simple culture of expenses of a month should be equal to income minus your investment amount. Most of the times people do it the other way. They first get the income, they spend, and then depending on what they have remaining, then they use it for investment. So somewhere the culture or the discipline that I said improved. The second thing also was the asset allocation. I assume that I'm a little more, I have a profile which is capable of taking a little more risks than the average person of my age group. So I used to be very heavy on the shares, and also used to take heavy bets on real estate in my past. But given my age profile and also given the goals that we developed, which inertia forced me to write it down for my next 5 to 10 years, I realized that that particular background doesn't serve my purpose. So a simple thing is to get things like beyond the equity part, get my debt allocation in a better form. And so the concept of asset allocation, how much equity, how much debt, is something which I wasn't worried about earlier, but in my current age, I think uh, having that kind of balanced profile in my portfolio is one of the biggest comfort factor, if you want to call it that, for the goals that I have for the next 5 to 10 years, right? So discipline, asset allocation, and I think somewhere in the middle, based on how things have happened, I also spent a lot of time educating myself, because somewhere, you know, the association with inertia acted as a catalyst. A lot of things which I didn't understand before so well, now I started seeing those things in better perspective. So somewhere along the line, I think I also have become a little more of a better financially savvy person. And I think that process of a do it yourself ability is something which I really feel has worked extremely well in my association with you guys over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and one more thing I always remember is, you know, about your, apart from discipline, you used to enjoy the flexibility of it, you know. So when you want to make your transactions, which probably you will not have gotten if you had gone for something like a SIP, so discipline is
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
but then you don't have that kind of personalization and that kind of flexibility,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think that is one thing that you really loved, you enjoyed doing on in your own way. So you can, anything that you want to share, say about that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, as I got myself educated, a lot of things did evolve over the last 4 5 years, right? And and then as part of my last 4 years corporate experience, I also had an ability to work in stints abroad, right? So the ability to invest also was varying. So things were not. I don't think over the last 3 4 years there was a pattern, right? Yes, the discipline of doing something every month was there, but there was no set amount or set figure. We just went with the flow every month. My abilities, sometimes it was beyond what I had promised. Sometimes I couldn't invest as much as I would have thought. But somewhere along the line, that ability to sync up and discuss it and then plan for something. Uh, I think that's where I said the process of becoming a little more savvy myself has really helped. Yeah, yeah. And then as of today, I think right now I'm really not worried about my portfolio, right? My my priorities have changed because right now I'm, for all practical purposes, I call myself as early retired from a corporate job. I still do some things on my professional interest, but it is on my own terms, on my own time, and to obviously keep the network active. So both intellectually active and keeping the network active, both are important. But I'm doing it on my own terms, right? So that's the difference between the previous stint of being on my own versus. But yeah, currently I would call myself as early retired because, as I said, the pressure of regular income is not playing on my mind. I'm more really worried about, okay, am I set for the next 5 to 10 years in terms of goals for the children, their education, post graduation plans, and maybe who knows down the line if I have to help them out in settling down, maybe there is. So those are the things which are really right now my priorities, not so much. And to be able to reach that point in a span of less than 5 years, I really consider it as an achievement of this association. Yeah.
Got it. So congratulations for creating this level of comfort with your finances for yourself. And anything, any message that you would like to share for people which have similar to your profile and the kind of things they deal with, and any message or any advice that you would like to give them, so that that they can learn from your experience.
Sure. So, so somewhere, as I said, from a culture of investing for creating a particular corpus, uh, at this point the priorities have changed to what I would call as retirement security or retirement planning, right? So, so now it's not so much as building a corpus towards a particular objective of wealth. Now it is more of, okay, whatever you have created, you want to ensure that it is managed well within the next whatever 15 20 25 years ahead of me, in which there is no security of a regular income, but it is really uh, more the need to ensure that the income or the corpus that you have accumulated is used properly, effectively. And there also I see there is a fair bit of education and discipline and caution that you need to exercise, right? So basically, I'm talking about the concept of retirement planning, and it is there are many things in that. You know, it's like the goals. My kids are right now in their late teens and early 20s, so now the priorities of their lives for the next 5 to 10 years is what's important for me. Uh, the other thing is also the use of all this wealth effectively. So I hit upon this concept of estate planning, right, which really takes care of the need to make a will early in your life. I mean, I those were not even in my thinking radar, and if you really see, those are not necessarily related to the equities and debt portfolio that one associates with investment. These are big part of your financial planning, but not necessarily, you don't necessarily think about it when you're accumulating the corpus. So these things are now hitting me as I'm looking at the post retirement phase of my financial planning. So yeah, I think I continue to educate myself on this retirement planning a lot more, and it's fascinating, and the comfort of educating myself with the background of having done, I would say, to some extent, an intelligent way of accumulating my corpus so far. I think somewhere the process is a lot more fun. Uh, it's not driven by insecurities or fear. I think it is genuinely fun. And yes, there are still going to be uncertain times ahead, but I think the way I look at it is, I would say,